Howdy.
Welcome back.
I didn't know who was going to lead. Hello, everybody. I don't know why I said it like that.
How low can you go?
Hello, everybody. We are back.
Say goodbye, everybody.
Bye, bunny. Hope you find your dad.
All right.
Just silence. All right. No, for sure. Hi, everybody. Welcome back
have
to
the cricket noise.
We should put that on the
Dude,
soundboard. That would be
yeah.
funny. Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of The Supernaturals. Today, I mean, we talk enough, I feel like, on this podcast about our own experiences and stuff. So, as you probably could tell from the title, we let you guys do the talking, except
true.
with our mouths. So,
we asked for some submissions,
we got some submissions.
and we're going to share their stories.
I thought you were going to say, and we're going to share those submissions. That would have been funny. Yeah, so, you know.
My brain wasn't thinking that far ahead.
We have a couple of these episodes this season, and they're I mean, I'm excited. I'm happy because they offer a different perspective on these things than what we've experienced. So it's pretty cool that we get to.
Yeah, it's really always interesting to hear other people's stories because you only know your own, right?
Exactly.
And when you hear other people's, whether you believe it or not,
Yeah,
it's just fun and entertaining to listen to.
it is. And again, yeah, there's always that sense of if you don't see it, like it doesn't exist.
You got to see it to believe it.
Yeah, which I know Jake is definitely on that journey for this podcast. But so I don't know if he'll believe any of this shit that we're about to read, but hey, who knows?
Just because I don't believe it doesn't mean your story wasn't real to you.
Yeah, and we go back to the Bigfoot episode. We got so much heat from people who believe in Bigfoot because they were like, you guys are idiots spewing, false stuff about Bigfoot. I've seen Bigfoot, and I'm like, we just shared the facts, came to our own conclusions, and I've never seen Bigfoot. Therefore, knowing these facts, I can't believe in it until I see it, until I see the big fur ball.
And we're not discrediting the people that did.
Yeah, if you did, then by all means, that's freaking sick, dude. But I'm going to give a skeptical hell yeah because I haven't seen it yet. So it's like kind of the same thing here. I mean, I believe in the paranormal. I believe in ghosts. And
Ghouls?
aren't they the same thing?
Yeah. Ghosts, ghouls, orbs.
Yeah. I don't know if there is any difference, but regardless. Yeah, I'm pretty stoked to read some of your guys' stories here. And I mean, we've read them. So some of them are pretty crazy. So
We have. One thing we should do is share our experience or a couple of them that we've had in the past, because we did on a prior episode.
I think it was like our first episode.
Yeah, so if you haven't seen it, we're going to just share them again.
Yeah. Yeah. If you, have seen all of our stuff, then, well, first and foremost, appreciate it. Thank you from the bottom of our hearts. But also, you're just going to have to hear these stories again because they're kind of on brand with what we're talking about today.
Sure.
And we're welcoming a bunch of new audience members because we have grown since our first episode.
Mm-hmm.
So for those of you who haven't watched our whatever episode that was, I still think it's the intro, but
I think we just called it the intro.
Yeah, I think it's like the intro
to the Supernatural.
Yeah, I think it's that
like
episode, but I'm not 100% sure. But regardless, we're going to tell them again. So, do you want to start with your?
Well, I've got another one that I didn't share the first time, mostly because it escaped my memory until a friend recently.
That was off.
I thought we said we were going to do that again.
I know. I was looking at you. It's because the lights are blue. It's the same thing as the Nautical Monsters episode. Lights are blue. I guess we just don't turn it on.
Well, now that that's back on for our viewers.
Yeah, sorry about that.
There you go. Now you got a nice light here.
Sorry, I turned to look at you while you were talking, and then I was just like, wait a minute, that's darker than usual.
I didn't notice it. I turned on everything else except that again.
It's all good. All right. What were you saying?
Bringing it back.
Yeah.
One of our friends from a while ago They triggered a memory of mine.
Okay.
Of to something that happened. Whether or not it was real or not, I don't know. But I will tell you the story. So I'll start with that one.
Have I heard this?
I don't know.
Okay.
I think it was, I don't know, 2007. My grandpa died. And it was a rough year. I was pretty young, though. And I remember laying in bed one night. And, you know, I have problems sleeping. Like, I can't stay asleep to save my life. It's just the hardest thing possible. It's just non-existent. Sleep doesn't exist for me. But I was laying there, and all of a sudden I'm like facing the wall, and I turn over to the other side of my pillow, and I see this like shadowy figure floating above my bed. Kind of looked in resemblance of my grandpa, but it had like kind of reddish eyes and like really, really pale skin.
You saw this?
Mm-hmm.
And you don't believe in ghosts?
Dude, the mind plays tricks, and I never seen that figure again. It was like a one-time thing. It freaked me out, and I turned the light on, and it wasn't there. And then I was just, that was the end of that story.
Like, how do you see something like that? Like, I haven't even seen that shit.
The mind plays tricks on you.
So what's your excuse? Like, what do you blame it on? Just like that you
potentially like a mix between like a bad dream / sleep paralysis type of thing.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. The other night kind of proved that, you know, certain things in your dreams are real. I mean, I awoke to the sound of screaming. Well, granted, I heard it in my dream first. I was just sitting there sleeping, and all of a sudden I hear like, and I was like, what the hell is that? And I wake up and I didn't hear it anymore. And I was like, was that just like a weird part of my dream, or like, what was that? And then all of a sudden my phone lights up and I look at it, and Jake is like, has anybody else heard that? Like, did anybody else hear that? And then I sat there for a second, and I heard some lady outside, literally right outside our house, go, "You think I'm going to sit here and let you call me a whore?" And I go, wow, so that was real. That wasn't in my dream. So maybe that was real.
And I'm just sitting there with my window open going, wow, this is juicy.
Yeah. But maybe that was real. Yeah. Some neighborhood drama in my dream turned out to be real. So, hey, so is your shadow guy, probably.
I don't know. But then, you know, what's kind of crazy is I was like reading a lot of like Redditors' experiences on stuff too. And a lot of people see shadow figures. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah, it is crazy.
I don't know if it was true or not. It never happened to me again. Just kind of a weird coincidence until a few years ago. My grandma died. Same family. Kind of crazy that that's the case.
Yeah.
But my dad and I were visiting her gravesite. We visited her headstone where we buried, well, we didn't bury her. She was cremated. But, you know, where the headstone was in the cemetery. And we were walking by it, and it wasn't windy at all. Not a single breeze or anything. And then all of a sudden, we walk by it, we sit there, kind of silent, said a couple things to each other about some memories about her. And then all of a sudden, the wind chimes right above her headstone just started chiming. Just chiming out of nowhere. No breeze, nothing. And then when we walked away, they stopped. And that was pretty weird. Was it true or not? I don't know. But
it's pretty solid, dude.
These are a couple things that have happened to me that make me feel like I can maybe get to the belief side, but it hasn't happened like frequently enough, or like, I'd want to say aggressively enough.
Yeah.
That it makes me believe.
I mean, I guess I understand that. Mine, I never saw.
It is kind of weird though.
Shadow people, but I've definitely experienced some crazy ass sounds and things like that.
Didn't you go to Third Bridge?
Yeah, in Third Bridge, I've always heard stuff. It's never been like a really I mean, I definitely
never saw the potentially woman in white.
I saw a black mass like fly across the bridge.
Mm.
And the thing that freaked me out was the galloping, because they say it's like a horse. Swear to God, I heard some like that, and I literally sat there. I was trying to hook Josh up with a girl, so I like left. I walked down to the other side of the bridge by myself, and I was like, oh man, what a nice night. And then all of a sudden I just heard like and it got like super loud. And then it was just like, and I like looked up and all of a sudden it was just like, and I was like, I'm going to go back now. And I was hoping that I would go back and, you know, Josh should just be like making out with this girl, but no, they were like so far apart. And I was like, that wasn't even worth it. Anyway. Yeah. So, I mean, I've had that, but that's like,
it's pretty mild.
yeah, that didn't really like freak me out. It's just, and I've also heard like, there's like wardrobe. Maybe we'll do an episode with Third Bridge. That'd be kind of cool. But, if you don't know, there's a little bridge out here in Colorado that's supposedly haunted, and I fully believe that it's haunted because of my experiences there. But I honestly have gone there so many times that I feel like a tour guide, literally, for like all of my friends and stuff. And I've definitely had some crazy ass stories there for sure, but they've never really been necessarily like terrifying. I had an experience there with a real life lady that was freaky as hell, but that was you know what? I have this story with my dogs, and they were like barking at you know, they were barking and stuff, but I actually think I'm going to tell this other story instead. It is a Third Bridge story. It was one of the most terrifying things that I've ever probably experienced. I would say I experienced it with my sister Tatum. So shout out Tatum if you're listening. And anyway, it was 2020. If you want to know my dog story, go back to the first episode, and it's essentially just my dog started freaking out, barking at like the wall for like no reason. They were just passed out, sound asleep. I'm sitting there watching SpongeBob, whatever. And then all of a sudden they just start barking, and I like started freaking out. I was a kid. But this story, so we go to Third Bridge, and the story behind Third Bridge, there's a lot of different stuff, but the big one is that, some girl lost her husband, like back when they were first constructing the bridge, and she went there and hung herself underneath the bridge. So really sad, but I mean, I remember it was me and my older sister, Tatum, as I said, and one of her friends. And we had just said, you know, Tatum, she was home. She lives in California, and she was home, and she's like, hey, let's go to Third Bridge tonight. I want to show my friend. I said, all right, like I got you guys. Again, I was like a tour guide for this place for a while. I mean, I really went like every weekend in high school. I really did. And so we're driving, and we get there, and you know, I was telling them all the stories and stuff and all my experiences. And we finally get there. We park on the side of the road and start walking across. Well, we start walking down. We had to park a little further up. There was like a big rainstorm, so the area where I usually park was washed away. So we parked a little higher, and we started walking down. And before we got to the bridge, like on the bridge, I felt like immediately sick to my stomach. I felt weird. And it was like, again, I was a freaking tour guide of this place. Like I've never really felt, even when I have experienced stuff there, I've never really felt shitty. But I actually felt like, whoa, it was like a weird feeling. Like you're just immediately like, I could just throw up. You're like, so we're sitting there, and like we're walking, and I swear to God, we got probably like 3 steps on the bridge, and I go, I think we should turn around. Like I said that. Tatum was like, why? And I go, honestly, I feel weird. I feel very strange. And she's like, let's just go. And I was like, all right, you know what? Like, yeah, no, we're fine. As we're walking across, kid you not, in the field that surrounds it, like there's like these trees and stuff that surround the bridge. And I heard like like that kind of sound. Like I'm not kidding. It was like a weird, like, and it stopped me in my tracks. Whatever it was, it freaked me the fuck out. I stopped, and I was like, oh shit. Like I just stopped, and I go, we need to get back to the car. Tatum was like, what? And I was like, you didn't hear that? And she goes, no. And I go, okay, we really need to get back to the car. So we go back to the car. That's fine. You know what? You could play it off as like, you know, there was something in the woods or something, like an animal or whatever. Like, sure, cool. But it's what happened next that was freaky as hell. And so this, regardless of whether the first part was paranormal and like just me, I don't know, I have anxiety, so maybe I just got anxiety, whatever. We get in the car, and Tatum's driving this time, she was the closest one to it. So she gets in the front. I get in the passenger side, and we see a car coming from the top of this hill. And Tatum's like, oh, should we let them pass first? And I was like, yeah, just let them pass. We'll turn around. We'll go back the other way. The car stops in the middle of the bridge. Lights on, whatever. And so at first I'm thinking it's a cop. I'm like, okay, a cop's just going to come up and say like, hey, you guys should just. And all of a sudden, like literally in the middle of the bridge, like not on the one side, not on the other side, like they were blocking the bridge. And so I'm like, okay. So I go, all right, Tatum, I guess just turn around now. If they're just going to sit there, it's probably just some kids, and as Tatum starts pulling out, the car fucking speeds up and literally like tries to block us in. And Tatum like turns it back to the right. Like she has to do this crazy maneuver to get out of the way of the car. So our lights actually show inside the car. Like we got to see who was driving this car acting all weird. It was like a 45-year-old lady. Like just a lady by herself. Mind you, it's like 1 a.m. And we're like, what the hell? Why are you being weird? So we peel out. Tatum starts speeding. I'm not kidding. This car turns around. I'm looking in the freaking mirror and stuff. And I'm like, Tatum, they're turning around. Holy shit. Her friend's freaking out. Tatum's like going like 80 with my fucking car on this dirt road. We're zooming out of there. This car's following us. And eventually we get out, but we're so like, oh, what the hell? And as we're driving back, my freaking sister's friend just had this genius idea to put everything together. And she goes, if you come here so often and you're not like talking about me, and she's like, and you're not really like sensitive to this stuff anymore. Like you kind of just like, you hear stuff and it's whatever, you see stuff and it's whatever. Maybe they could sense that something bad was going to happen. Like I'm usually respectful when I go to this bridge. Like I'm always respectful when I go to this bridge. I'm quiet. I don't, throw trash there. I don't do anything. And she was like, maybe like they gave you this horrible feeling like you should leave now. And when you didn't listen, the ghost of the girl told you to get out of here. But because she hung herself, she couldn't say get out of here. So she made some weird ass sound. And then all of a sudden, like, and we were sitting there in a car and we were just like, holy shit, what the So that right there was crazy, because regardless of whether you believe in the paranormal, that lady was on some weird shit, dude.
Yeah, what are you doing out at 1 a.m.?
Like, she's like a 45-year-old like white lady. The fuck are you doing?
Guess fucking with some kids.
I guess, dude. Like, what the fuck, dude?
Yeah, that's so strange that she would just show up at 1.
Yeah.
I would understand if it was like some high schoolers trying to fucking mess with people and
That's
just
what I'm
parking
saying.
in the middle, right?
Or maybe a cop, right?
Yeah.
And he's like, what are you guys doing?
In the middle of the bridge, a
But
cop would be a little weird.
It was a lady that looked like she could have been like a business lady, like in her
She like in a
daily life.
pantsuit?
Yeah, it's what it looked like. I mean, I couldn't see below, I just saw like the top.
But like she could have been in
it
a
looked like she was
pantsuit.
like well put together. Like she was going to work or some shit. It's like, why are you here? And it's like 1 a.m. And then she turns around and like follows us a bit. Like, what the? But it's kind of crazy, right?
Did she eventually stop following you though?
I think so. I mean, Tatum was going like 100 the whole way home. But what's crazy though is it is true. If I think about it, if I didn't feel weird and say, let's get back to the car, we would have been on the road when that lady pulled up.
Mm-hmm.
So it is kind of weird, right?
It's a little strange.
That's a little weird. So anyway, that's my story.
It's a little strange.
Yeah.
Wild.
So
yeah, Third Bridge is always so interesting. Mostly because
you don't really believe in Third Bridge though.
No, I've been there like 3 times and nothing.
Yeah, I was there with you once.
Nothing happened, but I don't know things. Josh
you got in an
said,
argument with your ex when we were there.
Probably.
No, you did.
Yeah, well, when do I not?
Me and Josh were just walking across the bridge like, good God, dude, you can hear it from here. She was kind of mean. No offense, but like she was kind of mean. Every time I met her, she's just kind of mean. she kind of was, dude. I don't know.
You might listen to this podcast. Who
I
knows?
could care less. You were kind of mean to me. So, maybe like be nicer. Dick. All right. Anyway, you want to start?
Yeah, let's jump right into these submissions, shall we?
Shall we jump into the "It's a ghost story, baby, just say yes"? Did you think that was funny, or was that ass?
It's fine.
I thought it was funny.
They're happy.
Our cult month, we just do one big Taylor Swift episode.
Dude, honestly,
sorry.
If we had them on our side, it's a lot of people.
Yeah, but I don't think I want to like just turn this into a Taylor Swift. What's up, Swifties?
Yikes.
How's Tay Tay?
Let's jump right in.
Let's jump into it, everybody.
Oh, God. There goes my phone.
Careful.
I'm trying to get a little cozy so I can read this. I can't see. Story 1 comes from screen name Constant Soft 6335.
Constant Soft. Hell yeah, brother.
Great screen name. Good screen name. What's a paranormal story you have that no one will believe you if you tell it? I sure have many. One in particular sounds so fake to even say, but I promise it happened. For context, I have lived with my in-laws since 2017 in their backyard in a tiny home with my then fiance. I was 19 and he was 20. My in-laws were renting their house for a few years, and the landlady decided their contract was up a year after moving in with them. The event takes place in 2018 to 2019.
It was a good year.
2018 was a good year.
Actually, no, it wasn't.
2019 was also a good year.
No, 2019 was ass.
That's when I graduated.
That's
So
when
that
I
was
got.
sick.
That's when I got my nerve damage.
That
then I also
is a tough year.
Got kicked to the curb by the girl in the military. Sick artwork, though. Appreciate it.
It is really cool. We'll have to show it on the pod sometime.
Yeah.
It's pretty sick.
Yeah, that'd be cool. She's cool. She still talks sometimes. So.
Well, awesome. This house was already eerie from the moment I stepped foot there. Once I moved in, I guess the activity picked up. Some days I'd take a picture of these stairs we had in our tiny home, and there'd be small orbs around the area. Then moments later, I would take the same picture and the orbs would be gone. Could have been dust or camera fixture, but it seemed weird to me. We had a dog since she was a puppy, and she was already 2 years old at this point. She would growl and look up those stairs. When no one would be home at my in-laws, I'd sneak her inside their house, but she would be so hesitant. She would back away immediately and look scared. As the days got closer to our move-out date, things were getting slightly more odd. In my tiny home, I had this leather futon couch. Me and my then fiance would sit on it during the day and lay on the mattress at night. During the day, he was sitting there. He felt extreme pressure on the back of his head. Me being into the paranormal, I decided to take a picture of him. After looking back at the image, I was creeped out. Behind him, close to his ear, almost like it was whispering to him, was something that had bat-like ears and a huge grin on its face. I wish I could have kept the picture, but my partner, being superstitious, he deleted it from my phone. I sketched it out, though, although I'm not sure if I still have the sketch. Some like...
No, I dig it. I just maybe keep the picture so we can see it.
Unless they're like... What if he's like, please delete it, and you just did, you know?
What about the drawing?
Well, that's different.
Where is it? I want to see it. Find it, send it to us. That'd be sick. Appreciate it. We'll show it on the pod.
Mm-hmm. We good?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, no.
Days later, we were finally moving out of the tiny home. We were moving in with my in-laws still, so we packed up their stuff as well. I would always wear my engagement ring and always placed it in a specific jewelry box. On moving day, I kept looking for it like crazy. I always kept it in that box on top of a small dresser, always. The box was there, but no ring. I started to cry, but my then fiance told me, calm down. They would appear after moving into the house. Before completely leaving the empty house, we took one last photo of the rooms for inside my in-laws. And that thing appeared once again in what used to be my fiance's room before moving in together. This time, it was more visible, and the grin seemed much wider. I wish to God he kept the pictures and not deleted them. It would have backed up this experience 1,000%.
Yeah.
It is kind of crazy, though. That'd be so weird.
I want to see it. I think everybody else wants to see that.
I know.
Go to your recently deleted. I'm sure it's there.
We didn't plan to add electricity to our new home yet, so we were staying in one of the new rooms. As we were unpacking, I started to take out clothes from bins to hang or fold them properly. Then I saw my engagement ring in a pile of clothes, along with a mysterious black ring. After putting the ring on, I picked up the black one and my heart sank. I felt shivers down my spine. I showed it to my fiancé and he turned pale. I'm not sure where the ring came from. We weren't into buying jewelry, let alone with buying rings. The chilling part was that it had "Please Smile" engraved.
Is there a picture of that?
I don't know.
No.
No pictures.
I'll tell you where you need to put that ring. Mount Doom. One ring to rule them all. Get it? You ever seen Lord of the Rings?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was my reference there. Sauron's gonna chase her.
Year's 2025. I still have that ring. I don't know why I kept it. I'm not sure if I'm able to post a picture of the ring without the post being removed. Maybe whatever we saw in the pictures manifested on that mysterious ring. Who knows? It's something I can't explain. That's a wild story.
Haunted rings and shit.
You should have kept the pictures, though.
Should have kept the pictures. Would have loved to have seen that.
Why'd you sound like Dahmer there?
What the fuck? That's a crazy comparison.
You're like, should have kept the pictures. I was like, Jesus. Who am I sitting next to right now?
Good God. That's all right. I wasn't trying to be like that.
No, crazy, interesting story though. Yeah, you gotta keep the evidence.
Yeah,
you know?
it really backs up the story. Yeah. I think that if you take a picture of something and there's something in the photo, like, keep it, guys, because that's what's up. You got to do that.
Even if people think it's fake or whatever.
Yeah,
something along with the story.
Yeah,
you know?
At least, like, it's real. Which I guess you could say the same thing, like, now. But it's also, like, photos are solid. All right, moving on. Story 2. This person chose not to disclose their name. Now, I know what you're thinking. Sleep paralysis is nothing new. Get it out of here. But I've never once in my life had sleep paralysis. I am someone who specifically lucid dreams every night, and it's a bit of a gift, to be honest.
It is a gift. As someone who's done it twice, the fact that you do it every night is crazy.
I don't know how to lucid dream. I have very vivid dreams that when I wake up, they feel like reality. But
Howard, do you not wake up tired? They might.
Exactly. So in my dream last night, I was with some people I knew visiting my old middle school and decided to do paranormal investigation. Something in my dream happened that spiraled into what I can only truly describe as something demonic. We were in a classroom talking to one of my old teachers, and I realized things started going bad because I couldn't see clearly, like I didn't have my glasses on. This happens sometimes when I lose grip of my lucidity in my dreams, but I'm pretty sure I quickly regained it. That's when I at first thought a spirit showed up in the room before us all. Everyone was a bit apprehensive, but I was somewhat excited as I've had spirits come before me in my dreams before with messages, and then I go on hunts about who they were in life the next day, trying to solve their mysteries in hopes that they can pass on. Which, by the way, that's cool. That could be like a movie. Maybe it is, but that would be a cool movie or a book.
Directors.
I would read the shit out of the book. Yeah.
Writers. There you go.
Mind if I take your story? I was really, truly hoping this was that, but then the entity went into my teacher's body and he started to distort. I panicked and thought my lucid abilities that I could pull the entity out of my teacher. So I grabbed him, but then everyone else around me started to distort just like him. I then looked beside me and there was some fiery skeletal creature next to me speaking in an unknown language. Next thing I knew, I was screaming the Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit prayer over and over again, like my life depended on it. And I kept doing it, staring this damn thing in the eyes until I woke up. When I did wake up, I was still reciting the prayer in my head, and I couldn't move my lower body. I reached for my phone and saw it was 3:33 in the morning. I snapped my eyes shut because I then realized the massive presence at the end of my bed and just how cold it was in my room. Keeping my eyes closed, I managed to unlock my phone and speed dial my mom, who thankfully picked up. At this point, I still could not move my lower body, but was not able to until my mom was physically able to pry my legs uncrossed, in which I then proceeded to break down into uncontrollable sobs. For the rest of the night, I refused to sleep alone in fear it would come back because I managed to touch it when I thought I couldn't. I know this seems like an overzealous nightmare, but I've always been sensitive to the beyond, seeing things out of the corner of my eye and hearing whispers, along with the occasional dreams. Now, I don't think of myself as a medium. I don't really believe in those kinds of things. I just think there are people who are a bit more sensitive to things like the paranormal and unexplained. Last night, I think something nasty visited me, and I don't want it coming back again.
Wild.
It's pretty interesting.
Yeah. Sleep paralysis got to be crazy.
Yeah, see, that's just like, that's an interesting thing for sure. It's just,
I can't imagine not being able to move any of my like limbs or, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, that's tough. I mean, the demon thing is really crazy. Like people who can't move, their mind like creates a
barrier around you, right? Bless you.
Sorry. This damn room, bro.
Sound like Jacob. Sorry.
Oh.
This room, okay, to be fair, guys, this room is stuffy as hell.
It's
all
weird.
hell.
I don't get it, but I definitely like won't have to blow my nose the entire day. And then I come in here to record and all of a sudden I'm just like, sniffing and like, what the fuck?
I know the amount of like sniffs we have to edit out so that you don't have to hear them every 30 seconds.
It is crazy. It's like, what the hell is going on with this room? Maybe there's a demon.
Maybe.
Making us blow our noses.
You don't get a tissue.
Anyway.
No, that's an interesting story. I hope he doesn't come back and visit you either. That's scary as hell.
Yeah, that is crazy. All right, you want to move on?
Moving on. Yeah, I guess we could have talked about it a little more, but
I didn't know. What else did you want to say?
I don't know. I was just maybe we go deeper into sleep paralysis.
I mean, I guess we can't. I don't really know too much about it. I've never really experienced it.
I don't either, but I think it would not be very fun to experience.
No, not at all. I mean,
it's kind of interesting because, on one hand, you got people who have sleep paralysis and can't move their body. And then you have other people who in the same state are potentially astral projecting / out of body experience while sleeping or being semi-awake.
Which we'll talk about in another episode.
We will. Crazy.
A lot of dream stuff this year.
It's so fascinating though. Like dreams are so cool.
Well, it's funny how
but they can be so creepy and
we didn't even mean to do that either. Like it wasn't even when we did the.
It all started with Nick Cage.
The dream scenario.
Yeah, good movie.
I never really. The coincidence murders that we did
talked about dreams.
It talked about dreams, and I didn't even mean for it to be that way, but it did. It was actually kind of a serious part of that.
And then I told you my stories about my lucid dreaming.
Yeah, and then this guy sent us a dream, which was pretty crazy, and then we have a whole episode talking about astral projection coming out later. So it's just wild. It's a really cool topic. Big theme, I think, this season is like the brain, right? Because we have cult month where we're going to talk about manipulation and all that kind of stuff. And then,
like I said, the brain is powerful. It can create things, which is why, who knows? But
yeah,
interesting story, anonymous user.
Yeah, appreciate you.
All right. Story is brought to you by
Story is brought to you by
Kellogg's.
No, don't say a brand. No, it's free publicity.
I don't care. This is not an ad read, but fucking mini wheats are so good.
I have 2 boxes of strawberry and mini wheats in the pantry right now.
Without milk.
Yeah.
It's a tough day.
Go ahead. Just read the.
He's
story.
sad about it. All right. Story 3. Fall Mega 01. This is the story of the first shadow figure I've ever seen. Interesting.
Oh, yeah. Talking about shadow figures.
So coming back to my apartment one night, my buddy's phone rings. It was his brother calling. And all he said was, "When are you guys getting back?" He's back again, and he's just staring at me. My friend said, "Oh, fuck, we're on the way right now. Just a few minutes out." Now, here's the thing. This wasn't my first time I'd heard about this. My buddy had been dealing with something like this his whole life. He told me stories about a demon that would show up in the corner of his room or follow him around. Honestly, I always thought he was lying. I still thought he was full of shit on the car ride over. When we finally arrived and pulled into the driveway, I glanced up at the apartment window. I saw the curtain moving slightly, and I swear I saw it. A shadowy figure standing right there, looking straight down at us. I froze for a second, turning to my friend. Hey, is your brother in the window?" He looked up. His face dropped. No. What the fuck? I kept staring, my chest tight. The shadow stayed for a moment longer before it let the curtain drop and walked away. When we go inside, his brother was lying on the couch, phone in hand, completely across the room from the window. I asked him, "Were you just at the window?" He looked up at me confused. "No, why?" I said, "Because someone was watching us from the window when we pulled up." His brother didn't even blink. "Yeah, that was it. That's the thing." The way he said it was just so casual. Like it was just another part of his day. Neither of them looked surprised. It's fucking crazy.
That is crazy. Yeah.
He just doesn't even faze him at all. It's just like,
You know, it's funny.
that's it. That's the thing.
That kind of reminds me of like, so when I was home for Christmas, you know, my nerves in my hand, they wouldn't let me open my hand, right? Like I have this nerve damage thing. And it's crazy because it's like we were playing cards and I couldn't open my hand and my whole family was like, "Whoa, that's so crazy. Like you can't even," and I was just like, yeah. I mean,
When you're so used to it, right?
Yeah,
You're so used to something being there, or just like
I feel it
this
pop
thing
and then I'm like, "Oh, yeah, here we go again."
yeah.
You know, but it's it's crazy. So I understand that when you can get used to stuff. So that is insane.
Yeah, it's so weird though. It's just
suck
like
if
it
it
follows you
followed you.
forever.
Oh God, can you imagine? Okay,
It's like it follows, right?
This is so inappropriate, but imagine you just like you're gonna finally get with the girl of your dreams, and you're just like, you know, you're taking off your clothes and you're just sitting there and you're like, hell yeah, this is finally about to happen. And you look off to the corner of the room and all of a sudden this dude's just chilling there, like looking at you. Would you like go through with it, or would you just like say, never mind?
If it was the first time I had brought a girl inside at that moment, I'd probably button up my shirt and be like, "Oh, maybe another time." If it was like maybe like you do it finally a few times in front of the figure or whatever, you're just like look in the corner.
What if it was like you've like
you just look in the corner,
fall-
you're just like, "No, I'm good. I don't even care.
You
I don't
look
even
at him,
see it."
enjoy the show, buddy.
But the thing is, she would then see it too because
Well, maybe. Well, I guess they saw it.
they saw it.
Yeah.
So
you try to do it in a way to where like you angle it so it's she can't.
Jesus. Oh man.
I'm sorry. This is the first thing I thought of is like, imagine you just like you're going to the bathroom and he's just in the bathroom with you. just like what? I'm talking like the most inconvenient times. This dude's just like posted up.
Yeah,
watching
you could be making toast, fine.
Yeah, but like when you're in like your vulnerable areas and he's just there, you're like,
the first time going to the bathroom has got to be so scary. You know,
just sitting there taking a shit,
and he's just standing in the shower looking at you, and
you're like, it's fine, fucking light a candle. Here you go, fucker.
Not discrediting from the story at all.
No. I'm sorry. The story is crazy. I'm just saying, like, that has to be the most inconvenient freaking thing. Is this guy's just everywhere, and it's like gotta be inconvenient. You know, you're at a job interview. It seems
very passive though. Like it doesn't do anything.
Well, I know, but again, it's like you're at a job interview. You're freaking nailing it. You're on a roll, and then all of a sudden you just look at him, and he's just sitting there like, oh, I wouldn't have said that. And you're just fucking. It throws you off your game. You know?
Yeah.
You're talking to a girl. You're spitting game, and then he's just right there, and you're just like, it throws you off. Then you start fumbling your words, and then she's like, what the hell's wrong with this guy? Then you fumble.
You're like, I'm sorry. Do you see that thing in the corner? She looks there. She's like, no.
He's like, that's my venom. It follows me everywhere. That's my symbiote.
Oh, man. That's got to be tough, though.
No, that's a bummer.
But eventually, you would probably just forget about it. Like, it doesn't even matter that it's there anymore, though.
I mean, I guess.
Right?
Yeah. But I feel like, well, I mean, no. Because if...
I don't know.
You know, if I was like having like just a sad day... and I just like sit down and just pop open a beer and he's like right there, I would literally look at him and be like, here you go, man. And just pour one out and then you just like drink it. Like I'd start to become like friends with the dude, you know?
But it probably wouldn't say anything.
No, but does it
have a face or is it just a shadow?
I don't know, but I'd probably talk to it. Seriously, dude.
It's not, like, I'm not talking to myself anymore. I'm talking to my shadow buddy.
Yeah. People be like, who the hell are you talking to? Oh, Fred. Who? Oh, see that shadow over there? Yeah, that's my guy.
Is he always with you? Yeah, he follows me like no other.
Yeah. Fred, this is Mark. Andrew. Guys, this is Fred. They're just like, yo, what up, Fred? Oh, he don't dap up or what? Like, nah, dude, he's a shadow. Like, he can't like feel anything. For sure, man.
I think we might have beef with Fred.
Yeah. Yo, Fred, why aren't you shaking my hand? You trying to throw or what?
Oh, man. Fucking Fred.
It's so funny. It's like, no, you remember the SpongeBob episode with the Bubble Buddy?
Yeah.
It's like that.
And then all of a sudden he just leaves.
And he's like, bye, guys. Everybody's like, holy shit, he was real? Oh, man.
Right, the end of the story. That night was the first time I ever saw something I couldn't explain. I don't know what it was, but I know it wasn't nothing. And I know it wasn't my imagination. After that, I stopped doubting my friend's stories. Whatever had been following him his whole life, that shit is real.
That does suck, man. That's a major inconvenience.
It really is. But
yeah.
At least it's not you, you know?
Yeah, but I mean, like, you feel for the guy.
Oh, 100%.
It's like you don't have nerve damage, but I'm sure you probably don't want it. It's kind of the same thing. It's like you kind of look at it and you just go, damn, that sucks.
Yeah.
Anyway.
You know that episode of New Girl where Winston's like phantom PMSing?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Sometimes I feel like I phantom get nerve damage from my right arm.
Okay, bro. All right. Chill out.
No, sometimes I'll be like, dude, my neck and my
You probably just slept on it wrong.
Oh, 100% I sleep wrong.
We have this one friend. So my case is like super strange. I went to like hella doctors and specialists, and they actually only thought that they could like take out my trap muscle, like literally just pull it out of me. And then they said even then it'd probably be like a 50% chance of that working. So I said, hell nah. So it's a very interesting case, but I will say, like, you know, people know, like, yeah, Cal's arm is fucked up. I mean, you guys make fun of it every once in a while, and I mean, that's fine. I don't really give a shit. I mean, I make fun of it too.
It's a less sensitive subject now.
Yeah.
And it's always fun to play basketball and make them go left.
Yeah, I got asshole friends. You got
I'm nice to him.
But my point is, we did have one kid who lived with us, one roommate, and he went to the gym and he came back and he literally goes, he goes, yeah, you know who you are, fool. Anyway, he goes, oh man, Cal, I think I did something to my shoulder. And I was like, oh yeah? And he goes, now I know how you feel.
You're like, buddy.
I looked at him and I was like, nah, you don't.
You think you do?
You just lifted a little too hard, or maybe you like fucked up the form or something, and like it'll go away in a couple days. But like mine's been a thing for 6 years now.
Yeah, no one's ever gonna probably have that case because it's that crazy.
Which is like, why I sit here all the time and I'm like, why the fuck did I get some weird ass shit? Like, why couldn't I just broke my arm? I've already had 2 labrum surgeries and I've had to like repair those, but it's like,
you would have rather broken your arm.
Yeah,
1,000%.
Just give me, like, why couldn't I have broken my arm? Why did I have to get some weird ass shit?
God's hand,
I guess, man. Some
if you
crazy
believe
stuff.
If you believe.
Yeah.
Thank you for your story. That was very interesting.
Yeah, no, that was crazy. And, you know, we'll pour one out for your friend and Fred as well, for sure. Yeah. No, I'm serious too. Like that dude, he's probably, I mean, think about his,
he's
like,
stuck with your friend.
Yeah.
You know,
that's what
think
I'm saying.
about his
yeah. What
point
if
of
he
view.
has no other, like he's latched for like some reason and like he can't get out of it.
And he's like, God damn it.
He's like, this kid's beating his meat again. Fuck. Then you would try to make it awkward. You'd be like, I'm just going to stand here until you stop. And then all of a sudden the kid just starts like, keeps doing it.
We were thinking about this all wrong. We're thinking about this all wrong. The kid makes it awkward, not him.
The kid's just like, yeah, you want to see that? He's like, you should leave. And then the demon dude or whatever, he's just sitting there and he's like, God damn it. Well, again,
he
really?
just turns to the corner, head against the wall. Just,
fuck. God damn it. This is my eternity. Really?
It's like, what did I do to deserve this?
Must have been something bad, man. Something bad.
Well, anyway. Regardless, thank you.
Yeah, thank you for the story. All right. This last one. The last one, guys. Actually, what are we at?
The last melon.
All right. The last one.
What are we at?
47 minutes. So.
God damn, you're sniffling.
Yeah, well, maybe get a non-stuffy studio room and then we'll be fine.
Blow your nose.
I got up and did that in that one episode.
I know.
I mean, are you going to cut that or did they see that?
The nose blow?
Yeah, me like getting up to blow my nose.
That'll be cut.
Okay. So then you guys won't see it. But yeah, I had to blow my nose.
This will be cut too.
I had too many. Okay, fair. All right. Story 4 by Nate the Great, 1217. Actually, funny story. 1217 was my apartment number in college.
Really?
Yeah, we had 1217 and 1219. That was kind of crazy. So, all right. Story 1. This guy has 6 stories. Just an FYI. In a story. So his one story is like multiple stories. So, story 1, 2013. I was 15 years old. This was my first ever experience. My grandma on my mom's side passed away. My mom, brother, and I would go visit my grandpa over the next couple of years a lot. He was lonelier, so we thought it was a good idea. This probably happened 2 to 3 times. We would all be sitting in the living room. Then we would hear soft sounds of plates and things like that moving around in the kitchen. We would all kind of look at each other, knowing it was out of the ordinary. But I think we all knew it was her. I mean, that's sad.
You're also experiencing that with other people.
Yeah.
Which is unique.
I just lost my grandma, so I
kind of hits close to home.
Yeah, grandma, if you want to make some plates move or something, that'd be sick.
Pour one out.
Pour one out for grandma. All right, story 2, 2015. I was 17 at the time. Me and my friends decided to head out of my big city to explore an abandoned building in a small town nearby. Erected in the late 1800s, it used to be a hospital, senior home, and mental institution at points in time. It was me, my girlfriend, her cousin, and my friend. Within minutes of walking around inside, we all stopped in our tracks as we heard a loud, deep moan. There was no wind at the time and was clearly heard right in front of us. We all left immediately out of fear. Story 3, 2016. I'm 18 now. I was camping with my girlfriend, same one, my brother, and our friend. I had a very emotional dream of some being coming to me and explaining something bad had happened, but that everything was going to be okay.
In a dream again.
In a dream again.
Crazy.
The next morning, we packed up, and after an hour or two, I didn't think anything about the dream. But just as we were getting out of the mountains into the foothills, a cop pulls us over with an unmarked car behind him. It turned out to be a social worker, and the cop asked me and my brother's names. He pulls us aside to explain that our mom actually passed away last night. Since I was the only one with the license, it was the longest 2-hour drive home of my life. That's for sure. Which is crazy. That story is crazy.
Dude, you have a bad dream. You're not thinking anything of it. And then bad news comes your way.
Yeah.
And not only that, it's about your mom.
Yeah.
That's so sad.
Well, did we talk about my dream with the... Like I had that one weird dream where like my work got, pew, pew.
I don't know. I don't think
we didn't talk about that in coincidence.
I don't think so. I thought you just told me like on the side.
Okay. Well, if I did say this, then, sorry, but you're going to hear it again. But basically I had I dreamed super vividly, and I had this crazy dream that like I was at work, literally just hanging out. And I was talking to my manager, and he was like one of my buddies, and he has a walkie-talkie on his hip. And literally in the dream, the walkie-talkie goes off and is like screaming. And all of a sudden we just hear like pop, pop, pop. And I start seeing like people just get like smacked. And I like run out and get to my car and like drive away. And I wake up literally like, in a dream or like in a movie when you wake up and you're like, ah,
yeah.
I know people don't believe like that exists, but I wholeheartedly, that happened to me. Like that dream, it felt so horrifyingly real that I woke up in like deep sweat, just like, what the and then I went into the bathroom, just to like, okay, whatever. And I'm washing my face, and I look like right in front of me, and there's a pure white spider like on my faucet. Like a white, like pure white, like this white. I didn't even know that existed. So
super like albino spiders.
Yeah. So I was just like, okay, that's crazy. And then all of a sudden I look it up afterwards. I'm like, does a white spider mean anything? Apparently, like one of the Native American tribes thought that like seeing a white spider meant that everything was going to be okay.
Lucky you.
Which is crazy that happened. I'm sure I told this in the coincidence things. I think I remember that, but regardless,
I don't.
It's kind of on brand here. It's crazy that happened.
When our stories, like, because we live together and we come and tell each other a few things throughout our day or some dreams that we had at night, and they start to blend with what we've talked about on this show.
Exactly. Yeah.
And what we've actually just talked about outside of this show.
Yeah.
And we're like, when we get asked, I'm like, I have no idea.
So you might get some bleed like over.
If we say some duplicate stuff, don't be mad. Just enjoy it again, or or skip ahead real
just
quick.
Double tap the screen and then go like forward by 10, 20 seconds. Anyway.
That's crazy though.
I know, right? So story 4, 2017, 19 years old, me and my girlfriend, still the same one.
Good for you, man.
I wish me. Head out to a camping trip in the mountains. We were only 20 minutes outside of town in the prairies. I see a semi coming from a mile away. I get this urgent feeling that something wrong is going to happen. Since he was still far away, I had lots of time to explain to my girlfriend about this sudden sense that came over me. When we were 5 to 10 seconds from crossing paths, I noticed he started to drift over into my lane. Single lane highway, by the way. By the time we passed each other, he was directly in the middle of both lanes. Luckily for me, I was already prepared, and we went over onto the shoulder. She looked at me in disbelief. That's exactly what I was talking about earlier with like the weird third bridge experience.
This guy, right. But this guy's got a feeling and bad shit's coming.
Yeah.
Dude, that's kind of a gift.
It is a gift, but also that kind of shows like, even if I got a bad feeling, I'm not saying I'm like sensitive to this stuff, but I got like a bad feeling on the third bridge
Something's
thing.
warning you.
And it's like, yeah, dude.
Yeah.
It's like, if you get a bad feeling, like, just like, you know, I don't care what responsibilities you have and stuff, but like,
yourself out of the situation.
Yeah, it might be worth it, you know? Damn, we'll have to talk about this when we get to the reality episode.
I know.
We're doing an episode about like, do we live in a simulation and stuff like that? And this is, I mean, something in the universe is telling you, hey,
watch out.
It's not your time to go yet. So we're going to give you a little warning. We're not going to completely pull you out of this, but we're going to give you a warning. Dude, who knows? Maybe that like 45-year-old lady that freaking cut me and my sister and her friend off, she just had like a shotty in the trunk or something.
You never know.
Like, what the hell are you doing out at 1 o'clock?
She'd probably wondering the same thing with you.
Well, why she cut me off and shit? Let me go home.
I know. That is crazy.
Crazy stuff. Anyway.
Well, I don't know if you've had the feeling or keep having the feeling, but, you know, adhere and like listen to it.
Oh, like if you have the bad feeling?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying is like something
regardless,
out there is
then like
telling you.
All of a sudden you just got to put your wall up and just be ready.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Spidey sense, you know, that Peter tingle. Story 5, 2019, 21 years old. I'm home alone, and at this point, I'm a full believer. I had not yet received any signs from my mom.
No girlfriend, though?
Doesn't say.
It's tough.
I'm laying in my bed trying to talk with her, hoping maybe she can hear me. I asked her to knock on the wall for me. It was a more rough point in my life, so for whatever reason, I was in tears at the time.
You're just like looking for a sign, you know?
I get that.
Mm-hmm.
I gave up and tried to go to sleep. 30 seconds later, I hear a loud knuckle to the wall sound in my room, clear as day. That was my sign. I felt a lot more comfortable after that. Which is crazy because like when you're looking for a sign
and it comes,
it's like
really cool and relieving.
Yeah.
But also the flip side of me
is like, that's kind of freaky.
What if it wasn't your mom?
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
You know?
But it's the same thing. It's like, you know, in like when you're doing like a Ouija board or something, or like you see those people who go into like haunted places with like what do they call them? The EMGs or whatever. And they like recording stuff and they go, EMF readers. Yeah. And they're just like, hey, like, we're just looking for a sign. Can you say something? Mm-hmm. And then they hear something and then they start freaking out. Like if I was a ghost and somebody was like telling me to say something, I'd be like, what's up? And then if they start freaking out, I'd be like, you literally told me to say something. Like, you know?
Yeah, I know.
So, I mean, there is that side of that coin where you're just kind of like
100%.
Bro.
But I mean, in his story or their story, whatever, like, they got the sign. Now they have relief. Yeah. Especially during a low point in your life, though.
Yeah.
You're looking for something, just grasping onto the thread.
Yeah. If you get that, you're just like, thanks, Mom. Like, I know you're there. Yeah. You know? So I get that.
Especially with like, you know, bad news coming about losing a parent, which I haven't gone through yet.
Thankfully.
You haven't gone through yet.
Thankfully.
And so we don't know that, but you know, when you're thinking about it and thinking about them, you're just like looking for something, hoping that they're there.
Oh God, dude. My dad, he loves like space and stars and stuff. So, you know, there's definitely gonna be times when that day inevitably comes and I'm going to go out and I'm just going to look at the stars.
And then you'll see a shooting star.
Yeah. And you know damn well I'm going to be like, what's up, Dad?
Yeah.
Story 6, 2024. I'm now 25 years old. My grandpa had just passed 3 weeks earlier. My dad's over at my place visiting. We're watching some hockey when all of a sudden one of us starts to whistle. Within seconds, we're both whistling random nonsense tunes. But then we heard a third whistle when no one else was in the house. My fiance, different girl now, was out running a couple errands. We started to whistle back, and something kept whistling back loud at us, mimicking our whistles perfectly. This went on for a good 2 to 3 minutes. It was whistling just as loud as us, but in a different area of the house. My grandpa was known to be a whistler, but I never got a good nor bad sense about it. I'll leave this up to you guys to decide if it was my grandpa or something more malevolent. My dad was a complete non-believer at the time, but this really opened up his eyes. It was his first real paranormal experience.
See, that's kind of like what I'm looking for, you know?
Yeah.
Like the wind chimes was interesting, but if I heard another whistle
Yeah.
and I knew there was only 2 people and we heard 3,
Yeah.
I can't argue that.
I mean, okay, so I have to be real. If I heard somebody whistle in my house, and
I'd be
I
a
know
little
there's only
freaked
2
out,
of us,
though.
For starters, I'm going to go grab the baseball bat.
Or a gun.
Yeah. And walk around the house and check every nook and cranny that I can.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if I do that and nobody's in there and then I hear the whistle again, then I'll go, oh, what's up, Gramps? Like, you know, but I have to make sure that nobody is just whistling in my house. Like,
Yeah, I'm curious on if this person did that or they just didn't think twice about it.
I don't know. I'm sure
Because,
they
like,
didn't.
you know, it's like right around just recently you had someone pass away. Like,
Yeah.
do you even think about an intruder or anything? Or are you just like still like
guess if
grieving
you-
and you're just like, maybe that's them
If you have experience with paranormal, like this guy has
over the years? Yeah.
over the years, then I feel like, yeah, you'd probably be a lot less, you know, susceptible to thinking it's something different than that.
Sure.
Especially with the mom knocking. I think that would probably make you go, okay, well, they can give signs.
Mm-hmm.
And then the whistle is like it's a sign again. But I have never had that. I've also, you know, I'm kind of paranoid, I would say. Like when I hear somebody like walking by my house,
Just any sort of sound
I
around
kind of
your
like
house.
look at them and I'm like, what the fuck are you doing here? You know, I'm just like making sure, because
Mhm.
I've seen the opposite side of this where things go horribly and I am not going to be that kind of victim. So it's like, I think that even if I had a sign, granted, I don't know, I've never had it, so I don't know, but me right now, I would be like,
Yeah.
let me go scope the scene real quick, like with a weapon. And then, you know, then
Okay.
be like, all right.
What if you just had lost a parent and that happens 2 days later? Are you still scoping the same place? Or
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I know damn well that if something like that happened and it was an intruder, if my dad like had passed
Don't get
and
caught
he's looking
lacking.
down on me and he'd be like, really, Cal? That's how you go down?
Yeah,
It'd be like
don't
that.
get caught lacking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It'd be like, nah. If it
Interesting.
was the intruder, then, you know, I think that if I made my rounds with my damn baseball bat or hatchet or whatever, and I'm walking around like, okay, is anybody in here?
Mm-hmm.
My dad would be sitting there and he'd be like, good shit, Cal.
Huh.
But that's what I think personally.
It's a cool building experience for that guy, though.
Yeah, a lot of stuff. That the dream one sucks.
Mm-hmm.
That sucks. There's so much. Now I'm like afraid to go to sleep and like dream,
I know.
because you're like, damn, what if that happens? You know. Damn.
Luckily for me, though, my dreams are really unrealistic.
Yeah.
Like a lot of the stuff that happens in them just is not possible, at least in modern day physics right now, you know?
Yeah.
But dude, that's so brutal.
Do you think, though, the one thing I'm going to ask just to tie this all up is, since we're talking about dreams and ghosts and stuff, how powerful the brain is, do you think that because these people have had such impacts on our lives, our brains like create something to kind of fill that void? And if there's a demon or something, do you think our brains create something to show we're afraid of an aspect in our lives? Do you think the brain is really what creates ghosts, or do you think ghosts could actually exist?
I mean, the fact that there's multiple people, at least in some of these stories, experiencing the same thing at the same time,
Yeah.
that I find hard to believe that the brain is making that up in
But-
sync with another.
You play Call of Duty, there's multiplayer. You never know. Brains could be multiplayer. This could be a whole freaking multiplayer server with simulation. That'd be crazy.
Who knows?
I'm not saying it's a simulation. I'm just saying, like, it is interesting how.
It is an interesting thought. I don't
Yeah.
think with that like syncability, you would say that that's possible. I think that there's got to be some sort of thing going
you
on.
Believe in ghosts, then, Jake? Is that what you're saying?
I am not.
Did we get him there, guys?
I'm not saying I believe nor disbelieve, but.
So what do you believe?
I don't know. I don't know. I'm still in this like state of I need a few more things to happen to me.
Yeah.
I've had these interesting coincidences that, you know, maybe a year or two from now and then 5 years from now, if a couple more things happen, maybe I'm like this guy at the end of the story where now he believes because of multiple things happening to you.
I think, again, with this podcast, you know, eventually this will become our jobs, like our full-time jobs. That is what it's looking like, which is cool. But, and again, thank you for that. But
this is a journey.
Yeah. I really want to get Jake to the point where he's believing in stuff. And the only way we can do that is if this becomes our full-time job, and then we can basically take Jake to things like these haunted ass places, and then he can experience this stuff. And I can sit there while he's screaming and say, I told you so. I freaking told you so. So today we're going to start.
Wants to do that.
We're going to start a GoFundMe to get Jake to. I'm just kidding. That's not what we're going to do. But could subscribe to our Patreon. No, thank you everybody who sent in your.
Yeah. And just the fact that you're, you know, hanging out with us and listening.
Yeah.
So these interesting stories in our own, it's a fun time.
Tell us if you guys like these listener submission episodes. I mean, I think they're really cool because we get to hear from you guys. And that was the whole point of this podcast, was to take our conversations that Jake and I usually have on a daily basis and just bring them to, you know, the world and have you guys share your experiences too. It's a conversation. And,
yeah, we're not trying to tell you or spit things at you. Like, yeah, we have some heavy episodes and some like factual episodes, but we do want to start conversations about interesting topics, you know, around the horror genre.
Yeah. Which, like, I'm going to go ahead and like give a big like warning here. The cult episodes are like dark as hell. Like, they're going to be dark as hell. But the conversation that we're starting in that is
all about the brain, baby.
All about the brain, which is kind of what we're talking about here, which is cool. But it's all about that. So, you know, if you guys, I mean, I guess just tell us what you like. I mean, we're going to have lighthearted episodes this season. We're going to have heavy episodes this season. We're going to have a little bit of light, a little bit of dark in one episode, you know, who knows? But the point is, we're just happy we're here.
And we're happy you're here.
Yep.
So thanks again. Thanks for tuning in to another episode. This has been a fun one. I've actually enjoyed this a lot.
Yeah, I like these. Mm-hmm. So we'll definitely have more in the coming seasons. I mean, we have some more for this season as well, which is cool. So stay tuned for those.
Yep.
And
and now it's a part of our core season building now.
Core 4. Yeah. So.
All right, guys. Thanks again. Keep it real. Thanks for your stories, and we'll see you around the graveyard.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to this chilling episode of The Supernaturals. For your protection, make sure to like and subscribe on your favorite podcast platform. And stay tuned for the next episode.